All right, welcome back. The Steelers addressed one major need, that was inside linebacker, but there's still some other needs right now for the Steelers. First thought for me would be outside linebacker, edge rusher. Tim, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I thought that was a swing and a miss, not addressing outside pass rusher. I thought it was also a swing and a miss to not bolster the safety position until the rookie free agency class. I think since T.J. Watt was drafted, they've had 22 draft picks, and the only time they've looked at outside linebacker were Sutton Smith, who might wind up being more of Tyler Matakevich insurance than T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree insurance. Him and Keon Adams, the only two outside linebackers they've taken. So given that, I think that they maybe could have waited on Snell at running back. They definitely could have waited on Gentry, the tight end. They might have been able to get him in the 6th or 7th round. Deontay Thompson from Alabama was still sitting there at the start of the 5th. DeAndre Alexander, a pass rusher, was much more of the build of Bud Dupree, and T.J. Watt was sitting there late in the 5th. I think I would have preferred to see them go for an outside linebacker and a safety somewhere before they went running back and with Gentry at tight end.
I mean, if you hear Tim talk, it's almost like they didn't lead the NFL in sacks last year.
Well, you tell me how effective those sacks were at various times.
Well, again, I agree.
You know who got most of those sacks? I think Anthony Chickillo had 1.5 of those sacks, Will. So if T.J. Watt gets hurt, how do you think the pass rush is going to be with Anthony Chickillo and Bud Dupree?
You can't have enough guys coming off the edge that are effective. However, their biggest problem was getting the ball. That was the biggest problem.
And get a safety then.
And that's where if you're going to look for help, if you don't think you're going to have Sean Davis pass next year, didn't Sean just switch agents too? I think didn't he switch to Rosenhaus? That's not a good sign for the Steelers, I think. So yeah, I think they need some help there. They need guys that can catch the ball defensively. I mean, and it's funny, we were talking about, Justin Lane, and he was a great receiver, such a good receiver who had 3 picks in 3 years at Michigan State. I mean, he's a big, long guy, catch the ball. So I do think, yes, I think they need guys on the back end. I mean, the edge. What you guys forgetting about Ola? You guys sleeping on Ola? Our good friend Chris Adamski's crush. So I mean, I think
I like him
at safety. That's who I like. That's where they would need the help.
I liked him. I think more than they did. I thought he should have played more once he came off the injury reserve list.
You know what, Benzie? You named all those guys, but which one of those guys would have helped them this year? Probably not many of all. So I mean, we know what their plan is, and they showed it to this plan year after year after year. Is if Sean Davis goes, if Bud Dupree goes next year, they'll get a halfway decent free agent, then draft that pick in the draft if they can get one and move on from there. They don't view that as a need immediately. However, talking about safety-wise, because if Edmonds gets knocked around a little bit, you got Jordan Dangerfield and a bunch of guys you probably never heard of.
I'm not saying that these guys have to be starters, Mark. I'm just saying you want more quality insurance there. But these guys that you're talking about in the 5th round are going to be coming in and not even getting a helmet and barely making the team anyway. So maybe address that in free agency a little bit and not the draft. But, like your plan that you brought up before, you're making it sound like it's so simple. We just talked about how much of an issue it was to replace inside linebacker. So if they leave themselves naked at either safety or at outside linebacker, they're going to have to trade up again, or they might swing and miss and have a big hole there for a year just like they did at inside linebacker. So why not better gird yourself there than with an extra tight end that you could have gotten later in the draft?
You think it was a coincidence there are 3 free agent signings, or wide receiver, inside linebacker, and who else am I missing here? Somebody who's probably not very good.
Steven Nelson.
And corner, and what was their first 3 picks in the draft?
Yep.
Right, so they're going after the same position. They have that replication there because they want those guys to take those jobs long term. I get that. But, you're basically saying, why don't they do it outside linebacker next year, what they tried to do last year with John Bostic, and it didn't work?
Hey, don't forget they also signed undrafted free agent kicker. So that's 3 kickers now for the Steelers.
That kicker, Walsh.
For the Steelers. All right, now it's time to go around the horn for this week's Smooth Move, brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, quartz, countertops. Mark, what is your smooth move?
Well, my smooth move was listen to Daryl Drake talk about Deontay Johnson.
He's still talking.
He's still talking. He's talking. I know he wasn't comparing him to, but he's bringing up the same topic with Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and all this other stuff. And if you believe that Bruce Arians was about ready to pick him 4 picks later, I'm a little bit confused about that one as well. But just to listen to him and paint him as the second coming of Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Michael Irvin is a smooth move.
For me, it's Sidney Crosby, Hart Trophy finalist today. He's probably not going to win, but I mean, the fact that this guy is still playing at this high a level, this deep into his career, and obviously basically carried this team into the playoffs, you know, it's remarkable, and people should, you know, it's a disappointing finish to the season, obviously, but that guy is still pretty much at the top of his game.
My smooth move was going to be Melky Cabrera for going 4 for 5 with 2 homers today. He's now slugging .506. Instead, I'm going to give it to Kaboly for not only going cargo shorts, but camo cargo shorts and making
Nobody knows that.
pulling it off.
They'll see it on Twitter.
Yeah, you'll see it on Instagram.
On
or wherever.
Instagram.
The shorts come out in about March, late March, early March, and they don't leak.
If we on the air, I think that's really the next step in the evolution.
I do recommend Cobra Kai too. Check it out.
I'm still a month away from short weather, by the way.
But you are standing on a couple phone books, right?
Brought to you by Armida Stone, who features Pittsburgh's largest indoor stone gallery of granite and marble countertops imported from all over the world to give you the smoothest countertops in the area. Score a touchdown with new granite countertops from Armida Stone. Back in a couple minutes.